a family celebrates after an amazing recovery. How a woman becomes a poster child and her husband a rock of faith.
It's just been an incredible journey.
Rebuilding a piece of Georgia history.
I did not think that we would be even able to do this. You know, we're just a bunch of high school kids.
How Georgia teens pull off what seemed impossible.
I didn't expect to build a covered bridge in my life.
Plus, the formation of a forever family for a child who survived a rocky past. Now, an Action News Primetime with John Pruitt.
Good evening. This is a season to celebrate faith, and tonight we have the story of a miraculous journey that might not have been possible without unshakable faith.
Motorists crossing the state line into Georgia spot an intriguing billboard, a billboard promoting a website called JesusHealMyWife.com. That wife is Patsy Trapoto.
Well, Patsy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, very good. Almost 2 years.
Very few people come back from this sort of encephalitis to make the recovery you have.
Yes.
Who gets the credit?
God.
Patsy and her husband Ron believe God miraculously healed her from a rare brain infection called herpes simplex encephalitis.
This virus lives dormantly, hibernates in the nervous system, and at times of either stress or a compromised immune system, it will travel out, usually to the surface, causing a cold sore, but in rare cases will actually travel centrally and in unusual circumstances get into the brain, infect the brain, and cause what we call encephalitis.
When you have a case like this, what is your general prognosis?
Generally, the patients I see with herpes encephalitis are severely and usually permanently affected.
It is.
Is it a clothespin?
Dr. Daryl Kalin is the medical director for the Brain Injury Program at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta.
Safety pin.
Safety pin, very
Safety
good.
pin, that's what it's called.
He knows Patsy's come a long way from their first meeting.
She had virtually no memory, had no idea of where she was, what she was doing, or what had happened to her. She had severe language problems, could not get words out, could not follow commands.
It is a, it is rubber band.
Very
it's
good.
It's a rubber band.
Very good.
With a 90 to 95% recovery, Patsy continues to work on her speech.
Wrist clock. No.
How remarkable is her recovery?
I will say that their faith played a big part of that. Patsy is not just a small miracle, but a big one, given that she's probably got the best recovery that I've ever seen with somebody with her disorder.
Patsy's story begins 2 years ago on a trip to Chattanooga to see her granddaughter's cheerleading competition. Patsy's daughter thought her mother was simply tired.
So then all of a sudden we're getting ready to go downstairs and eat breakfast, and she's starting to put her eyeshadow on her cheeks. And I'm looking at her like, okay, something's really wrong.
A complete series of tests showed nothing abnormal. But a week later, Ron rushed her to Duke Medical Center. She was disoriented with a high fever. She lapsed into a coma, was given a 10% chance of survival.
I saw her, the head neurologist. I looked at him, I said, Doc, I just want you to know something. Patsy's going to be totally healed. And he looked at me like either A, I was nuts, or B, I hope you're right.
Ron asked everyone he knew to pray, but Amy did not share her stepfather's optimism.
I thought, you know, there's no hope. I mean, she had a shunt sticking out of her head, and it was very hard.
And then Ron comes in and says she's going to be fine.
Oh, yes.
How do you react to that?
I'm looking at him like he's crazy. I think he's nuts. I'm like, okay, I know that you're hopeful, and I know that you put a lot of trust into God, and I know everyone else has, but I just don't see how she's going to kick this.
Ron had so much faith that he bought a new car for Patsy while she was in that coma, a car she wouldn't drive until a year later.
People were saying I was going to die when he first bought it. And he told them, no, no. And you know what? That January, I was the one that picked him up, and I was the one that drove it home. And I've been driving ever since. I can drive so well. I can drive better than before I was sick.
Really?
Yes.
Patsy has returned to paying bills at her husband's business, an amazing feat in that she had to relearn math and even her ABCs.
She's had to learn to speak. She's had to learn to read, write, drive, walk, exercise. Basically, she's had to learn to do it all over again.
Patsy also relearned the simplest of chores. She didn't even recognize her own house, her own belongings.
I would sit there and I would just look through whole drawers, different drawers, to see what was there. I think, oh, that's right, I remember, that's mine, that's mine.
And I guess that happened a lot. I mean, what about your grandchildren? Did you remember them?
At first I didn't. I had to remember all of them, I think.
Stirring the shrimp.
Savannah was the oldest grandchild and most affected by her grandmother's illness.
She'll be better. She's getting a lot better now. I'd say I love her so much.
You love your grandma. What did your mom tell you when your grandmother got sick?
She said she'll be fine. She'll just get better. But it's hard.
Yeah. It made you sad. Yeah.
My grandmother's here to tell everyone about what has happened with her brain.
Today, Savannah is beyond proud. She brought her grandmother as a living show and tell exhibit. They're studying the brain at the Darlington School.
There's a billboard of you on my way to school. How many are there?
There's 5. Oh, 5. And when I was in my coma, they had 10,000 at one time praying for me. And I think all the miracles, these people praying to God has made me okay.
Patsy has become the poster girl for healing.
We went on a trip to the Georgia Aquarium, a field trip, and we passed her billboard, and I told everyone in the school bus, that's my grandmother on that billboard. And people were saying, no, that's not. I said, yes, that is. That's my grandmother.
When doctors cautioned Ron last year that Patsy probably wouldn't fully recover, he took another very public leap of faith, buying billboards across Georgia.
What has been the effect of all these billboards?
I think it's given people hope. I think that when I read some of the emails that come in, and it encourages people and knows that God is still in the healing business and that he's still working miracles.
The billboard sparked hundreds of people to blog their own inspirational stories on Patsy's website.
How are you? How you doing? Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Susan and Fred Minko met the Trabotos through the website.
But you're ready to get better, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to get healed, brother.
Hey, amen, amen.
Fred is recovering from the same illness as Patsy, so the Trabotos flew these complete strangers to Atlanta so they could meet with Patsy's doctor.
It's got to take somebody special to understand what you're going through, and they've been there.
The Trabotos share their story wherever they can. Every Thanksgiving, they host what they call a Night of Hope, providing a meal for the homeless along with a new coat.
And you have to hope and think that Patsy's story will inspire so many of these people.
Yeah, and it's worth, if that happens, then it's worth going through it. Then there's a reason. I think that there was a purpose in this, and obviously, Patsy and I never knew going into this that there was, but really looking back at it, there's definitely a reason for this. I mean, God's the one that did the healing. I was the one that just got out there and let everybody know.
Patsy plans to continue her recovery by returning to speech therapy early next year.
Next on Small Miracles.
I have really missed you.
One Christmas surprise for the Trapoto family. One member you've got to meet.
Patsy has great things that she's going to do.
Plus, Georgia teens take on a job most adults wouldn't.
It's just a piece of history that we just needed to restore.
And a boy gets a Christmas wish far richer than toys. Small Miracles is a family-to-family special brought to you by AirTran Airways, Scanner Energy, Northside Hospital, Kroger, and Waffle House. We now return to small miracles, an Action News Prime Time with John Pruitt.
Patsy Trapoto spent months at the Shepherd Center relearning simple tasks like walking or brushing her teeth. Throughout, her family's support was critical, but there is one other key person you have yet to meet.
When Patsy Trapoto was in grave danger of dying 2 years ago, there was a friend by her side.
She would always kiss me on the cheek, and I would just love her, and I'd say, "It's gonna be all right, girl."
Linda Jackson became Patsy's constant caretaker, her shadow. An unusual choice since Linda was married to Patsy's former husband. But from the beginning, there had been an extraordinary bond between these families. With patience and tough love, Linda pushed and pulled Patsy through recovery, every day for a year.
Have you ever had anything as challenging in your life?
No, I have not. I had to treat Patsy like my child, even though she was my grown friend.
There must have been moments of great frustration for you.
Oh, there was. If I had a down day or something, Ron would say, "You can do it, Linda, you can do it." And we'd look at Patsy and we'd both say, "You can do it, Patsy."
AirTran Airways helped us fly Linda from her home in Houston back to Atlanta for a visit.
Merry Christmas!
She strolled into dinner as an early Christmas surprise.
Where'd you go?
Glad you're here!
There were plenty of hugs to go around. Linda was a missing part of the Trapoto family.
I've missed you. Oh, I've really missed you too. I have missed you too. It is just.
You're my angel.
How has your relationship with Patsy changed?
Oh, it's remarkable. We call each other sisters.
We're just sisters. That's all right.
That's we are. She says I'm her angel, but no, she's the angel, and I call her my hero because she is.
Linda gave Patsy her Christmas gift.
Hear the bells.
But the best gift was holding a dear friend.
Our next story involves restoring a piece of Georgia history. In the 1800s, more than 200 covered bridges spanned Georgia creeks and rivers. Today, there are only 12 remaining. One of them, thanks to the perseverance of a group of Georgia teenagers.
Off a country road near Lula stands a little bridge. A bridge so small that at 34 feet, it earns the title of smallest covered bridge in Georgia. But a year and a half ago, only its sagging roof was visible.
The first time we saw a little tiny bridge that had holes in the roof, it was falling in. You could not see it very well. It was completely covered in brush, shrubs, vines. We saw it as, wow, this is going to be a major undertaking. But we also saw something that we felt like we could really put our hearts into.
Interesting headline on that picture, Rescuing History.
This small bridge would become the thoroughfare for big dreams. The Dreamers, a group of students involved in future business leaders of America. Led by their advisor, Kathy Cobb, they decided to restore this decaying bridge, a project no one in the community had taken on for more than 30 years. The bridge was built in 1910, then rebuilt in 1915. When it was restored in 1975, workers placed a plaque inside, dubbing it the Blind Susie Bridge, or Lula Bridge.
What was the story behind Blind Susie?
Blind Susie was a woman who sat, I guess, in the 1900s, and she kept moonshine hid up under her skirt, and as the travelers come by, she would give them moonshine.
Acting as detectives, the students tracked down the bridge's history. As they talked to older folks, they discovered a big mistake. For years, the bridge had the wrong name.
Blind Susie is such a neat name. Were you a little disappointed when it turned out not to be Blind Susie?
We were a little disappointed, but it was still a good story to be able to tell that we had found the real name of the bridge and that it had been mistaken for the other bridge that's on the other end of the county.
The real name, Hyder Bridge, once a romantic spot for courting couples.
My grandparents were just thrilled to hear that we were restoring the bridge because they could remember
that was actually the first place they met.
How did that impact you when you realized it had a direct link to your personal history?
It really enthused me because that's like part of my family's history right there now. Because that's where they met, and had they not met there, who knows where I would have been.
The students attacked the project, sacrificing their holidays and Saturday mornings.
You know, it was a lot of Saturdays where, you know, a high school student's going to be wanting to do something else other than go out and work on a bridge.
Like sleep in?
Yeah. There were times when, you know, we wished the bridge would fall into the creek. We wished a tree would hit it, anything, because the work was just so strenuous and stressful.
Even with parents tackling the more dangerous jobs, there were times they all almost quit.
What was the low moment and realized this, maybe we were not going to be able to do this?
When we found out that one of the beams was broken, it was rotted, and the foundation beams. And this bridge is called King Post Truss, and it had huge beams. I contacted sawmills, and there was no one that would cut a beam like that anymore.
But an old sawmill came to the rescue, cutting a beam, and then the Cornet Bridge Company volunteered to set it into the foundation. Other companies like Lowe's and Home Depot supplied grants that they would later use for landscaping. Kathy Cobb watched her own students bloom.
I saw some of them that were more good at researching and the paperwork and actually presenting the bridge, but I saw some that was just, I called them workhorses. They would be out there no matter when, you know, if I needed them out there, they were out there. One of the girls, she was out there every time, and she's still out there.
That girl was Shelby Forrester, someone who'd never liked to work outside.
I cut down trees, I helped take apart the bridge, I just did everything.
What did you learn about yourself as a person during this process?
That I'm hardworking and that I don't give up.
Did you know that about yourself before this?
Not really.
In June, the students won 3rd place for the bridge project in a national FBLA competition in Chicago.
What was it like making the presentation in Chicago?
Very nerve-wracking.
And your reaction when you got 3rd place?
I was very excited. We were jumping up and down on stage.
Let us pray.
Just 2 weeks ago, the Hyder Bridge was blessed.
Dear God, we consecrate the rising of this bridge.
And the ribbon cut.
3, 2, 1. Yay!
The Lula community celebrated a new park around the old bridge.
Who would have ever dreamed that this bridge would rise to live again?
The young bridge builders had jump-started a community and transformed themselves in this tunnel of time.
I'm just amazed looking back at it. I think how it seems so long ago that it was just such a mess, and how in just a few months we've changed it from that into something that the community could be proud of.
Big dreams had shaped a small bridge into a small miracle.
How proud are you of these students?
I couldn't be more proud. I'm just kind of overwhelmed when I talk about it, and I think they will be proud too in the future. I think they'll be able to tell their kids, their future kids, about it, and it's something that they'll be able to use, hopefully forever.
Next, on Small Miracles, a child celebrates the one thing he wanted, a forever family.
Part of the joy of the holidays is gathering together as a family. There's one child who probably appreciates that more than anyone else.
Did you say your grace?
The last 3 years, we followed the Winfield family. Gretchen and William Winfield fostered dozens of children until they fell in love with a few and started adopting. Matthew was a foster child who landed in their household when he was 3. He was removed from his biological home because of severe mistreatment and neglect.
She stabbed me with the cigarette first and then stabbed me with this knife.
On the back of Matthew's head, a scar was visible. But less visible were his emotional scars. He often flew into rages.
Do you think he will be a normal young man at some point?
I do.
We do.
I really do. I have every bit of
because we
confidence
see
in that.
where
I do.
he's come when we first got him.
Yep.
Oh, whoa. Look at the little baby on his foot.
Over time, the Winfields helped Matthew unravel his anger and his fears.
What's the best thing about being with Gretchen and William?
I love to have fun.
Are they good parents to you?
Yes.
The Winfields traveled countless times to Fulton County Juvenile Court, seeking to adopt Matthew. There were years of delays. By last fall, Matthew only had one question.
When am I going to be adopted? Is it going to be next year?
There we go.
5 years after the Winfields met Matthew, the big day finally came.
I just kept telling him over the years it would happen, it would happen. And when we got the word that he was going to finally be adopted, really, I mean, he was the first one up. It's today? Is it going to happen today? For real, it's going to happen today.
Sporting what he called his new adoption suit, Matthew was officially adopted in the judge's chambers. But he wasn't the only one. The Winfields adopted his biological brother as well.
I was happy that me and him were getting adopted because I knew that he wanted to get adopted too, so I said, okay. So the judge released both of us.
Altogether, 24 children in Fulton County were adopted on National Adoption Day. The party in November was complete with clowns and characters. Matthew's excitement was paired with relief.
I feel safe.
Not even a bag of toys given to him could match the power of one piece of paper, proof of adoption.
Now he no longer has that burden on his mind about, am I going to be in a family? Am I going to be a part of a family now?
The Winfields believe Christmas came early in the gift of 2 more adopted children. They fostered 62 and adopted 6.
Who knows how many more we'll adopt, if we adopt any more. But for now, our family is complete. For now.
Yes.
For now.
If you'd like to share with us what you consider a small miracle, log on to WSBTV.com and click on Programming. We thank you for joining us tonight for these inspirational stories. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Death penalty case is probably very soon. But things are different in this case because of what has taken place and what the defendant has shown by his conduct. The district attorney's office under 17-7-50 could have requested within the 90-day period, way back when, for additional time because it was a capital case. There is a provision in the statute specifically to say to the court, basically, we need additional time to make the decisions, and we want an additional 90 days. They didn't. They signed off on what happened and the reasons why it was signed off on. I think under these circumstances, the defendant should be continued on bond for what he has already made, which is $100,000. But should the court not agree that reasonable bond should be set on the new charges? The defendant's family is out of pocket, not that anyone's complaining, but they're out of pocket for a corporate surety bond, $100,000.
Basically, this is a classic case of you pays your money and you takes your choices. When they asked for a bond before, no decision had been made on the death penalty, no decision had been made on what charges would be added. The DA's office handled this in an entirely routine matter, as the court is well aware. That is, where murder charge is sought, we routinely include felony murder charges, and that's exactly what happened here. But the whole complexion of this case has been changed since the decision was made that it be a capital case. And I think that's what should drive the court's consideration. Counsel hadn't talked about the facts of this case. This was a horrendous case, and the defendant has made admissions that he initially struck the victim when he entered the house, knocking him out, that he took place in the torture in terms of cutting his hair, and